This is Boris Cherny. He's the creator of Claude Code at Anthropic. And at a recent conference, he was asked about how he uses it. And he said, I don't prompt Claude anymore. I have loops running that prompt Claude, and they figure out what to do. My job is to write loops. So, the person who built one of the world's most popular AI coding tools says he does not give it direct instructions anymore. Instead, he builds systems that create those instructions for him, and he calls them loops. And within a few days of him saying that, the entire AI world, or at least the software development part of the AI world, seemed to be talking about very little else. Peter Steinberger, the creator of OpenClaw, posted,
"You shouldn't be prompting coding agents anymore. You should be designing loops that prompt your agents."
That post was read 5 million times in under 24 hours. And Adi Osmani, a long-term Google director of AI, wrote an essay giving the practice a name of loop engineering. And by late June, TechCrunch was running headlines like,
"The AI world is getting loopy."
So, what's a loop? Why did this idea take off so fast, and what does it mean for you, even if you have no intention of ever writing a line of code? Now, you'll hear this idea under a few different names like loops, agentic loops, loop engineering, and right now it is mostly a software engineering practice, but we've seen this pattern before. Whatever AI does to software engineering first, it will do to the rest of business later. Now, the most basic idea of a loop as just something that repeats is not new, but it does have specific implications here, so let's step back a moment. Because every year or two, the primary skill of working with AI changes. First, the skill we all needed was how to write a good prompt. And then it became more about directing agents, AI that could carry out multi-step tasks on its own. Now, Boris Cherny's argument is that the next step of this is working with AI systems that themselves prompt other AI systems to perform the work, and whatever results they get, they automatically feed back the results into the next loop around. So, what is a loop exactly? Now, if you strip away the jargon, it's really 5 steps running on repeat. First, we need to find the work. There's some kind of trigger. The loop wakes up, maybe on a schedule, maybe when something happens, but it looks for what needs doing. What is the goal? Then we do it. An AI agent takes a shot at the task. If that is the goal, then these are the prompts we need to write. Then we check it. After the work is done, it needs to be checked. And we're not talking about a human in the loop, not here. We're talking about using AI to check the work that was just done. And usually a different AI model than the one that did the work, because we don't want AI grading its own homework. We want a separate examiner. And we want a very clear definition of success. How will the AI know that the work was completed correctly? Then we write it down. We record anything that was learned, what was accomplished, and what is still open in this run around the loop. And we save that information somewhere outside of the AI's short-term memory, because that memory gets wiped between runs. Now, this doesn't have to be anything complicated. It could be just saved in a simple text file, the equivalent of writing a few notes in a notebook, and then repeat. The AI automatically goes back to step 1 until the stopping condition is met, until all the tests pass, until the goal is accomplished and the list of tasks is empty. But that's it. A goal, a worker, a checker, some kind of notebook or memory, and a rule for when to stop. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, isn't this just agentic AI? I mean, we give AI a goal and we let it work until it's done. And yes and no. We are still taking an agentic approach. We're taking a goal-directed approach to the work. But a regular agentic AI process can stop and work and finish and forget. And the next task would start from 0. But in a loop, every cycle ends by writing down what was learned and what's still open. And if the goal has not been accomplished, the next cycle automatically starts, and it starts by reading those notes. So a regular agent finishes, a loop resumes. Now, one of the first popular versions of using AI loops in software development was called the Ralph loop, and it was named after Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons, who's not, shall we say, the show's deepest thinker. And it was named after this cheerful idiot precisely because it was so simple it feels almost dumb. A Ralph loop is just a way that the AI can keep asking itself over and over, "Are we done yet? No? Then keep going." And that's the whole trick. And it works far better than it has any right to. Now, here's what this looks like in real life. Boris Cherny described the loops that he personally keeps running. One agent does nothing but just look for ways to improve how his code is organized. Another one hunts for duplicated work that could be merged. And each one continuously runs. They'll submit their proposed changes just like human colleagues would. The changes get reviewed. And because the code base never stops changing, the loops never run out of things to do. But nobody prompts them. Nobody starts them in the morning. They're just always on. But let's do a reality check here because there are a few catches and they are significant. First, cost. Because an AI that loops continuously is an AI that bills continuously. There's no built-in ceiling. The entire point of a loop is it doesn't need to stop. It can just keep going. And TechCrunch made the comment that this arrangement works very nicely for the companies selling AI. But if your organization starts experimenting with this loop approach, the first conversation you should probably have is about budget. Second, unattended mistakes. A loop working while nobody is watching is also potentially making errors that nobody is watching. And that checker step helps. But when an AI declares a task to be finished, that is a claim. It's not a proof of anything. Somebody still needs to verify that the final output actually works and does what it needs to. And third, and this one's a little more subtle, the people pushing loops are often also warning about them. This is new. We are seeing a lot of value in it, but we haven't proven it yet. But again, everything we've described so far is happening first in software engineering, and it's worth understanding why it's starting there. And it's not just about having a lot of early adopters, it's because code has a property that a lot of business work doesn't. You can check it automatically. You can have a suite of automated tests, and those tests either pass or they fail. That gives a loop a verifiable stopping condition, which is exactly what a loop needs to run without having a human constantly in the middle. But let's be honest, plenty of business work does have that same verifiable shape, even if it's not defined as formally. If you have anything recurring where done can actually be checked, like sorting and routing incoming requests, or watching a dashboard for anything unusual and flagging it, or assembling the same report every Monday from the same sources. So the tools to build these loops, we need schedulers, we need ways of doing automation, of having agents and different agents to check the result. They are already showing up in the AI products that most people are using today. But if we think about it like this, 2 years ago, the valuable skill was how to write a good prompt. And more we're moving to a situation where the real skill is how to describe work so clearly, describing the goal and describing the checks and describing the stopping point, that AI doesn't need you to write those prompts anymore. So what becomes far more important are these two questions. What is the stopping condition? How does AI know when it's done? And who checks the final output? Because just saying, well, the AI said it was finished, is not quality control. So even if you don't immediately jump into creating loops, this week, notice one piece of your own reoccurring work, something that you do every day or every week, and ask, could an AI check whether this was done correctly without me? And if the answer is yes, that's where loops are likely to show up. See you next time.